I think this is a good time to remind you that you should never judge someone until you've walked a mile in their clogs. Can you imagine walking a mile in those things? I hope you don't like your foot skin. What is up, chicken butts? It is me, I'm here, and you are there. And today I wanted to share a little bit about my experience going to one of the biggest tulip festivals in the world.
It is that time of year again, marking the beginning of the 96th annual Tulip Time Festival.
Tulip Time. It's Tulip Time.
Like spring on steroids.
Tulip festivals are an annual tradition all over the world in many different places. The festival that's in Holland, Michigan is called the Tulip Time Festival, and it is one of the oldest and also one of the largest. This year, they said almost 1 million people attended. That's a lot of people. Holland's first celebration of tulips took place all the way back in 1929. It really was not much of a festival. It was more of just kind of a, look at these, 12 tulips. Even though that 1929 celebration was the start of the festival itself in Holland, Michigan, the festival's history is also tied directly to World War II. In 1947, a veteran named Vern Veldheer returned from fighting in the war, and he decided to plant 400 tulip bulbs that year. And that small start is what exploded into what is now Veldheer's Tulip Gardens, where today they have over 6 million tulips across 850 varieties. Who knew there were so many tulips? Vern himself was born in 1925, and as of this year, 2025, he is still involved in the festival. According to the staff, he was still putting in 60-hour weeks at the gardens as recently as just a few years ago. So that, of course, means that Veldheer's is celebrating its 75th anniversary in 2025, and Vern himself is celebrating his 100th anniversary in 2025. He was honored earlier this year with a legislative tribute and an American flag from the state capitol. But the Tulip Time Festival is not just what you see at Veldheer's. The celebration takes over the entirety of Holland, Michigan, with thousands of tulips planted downtown in Holland's Centennial Park, as well as along the waterfront. Plus, if you haven't gotten your floral fix yet, there are still even more opportunities I hadn't mentioned yet, like the very famous and historical Windmill Island Gardens. The windmill that's featured in Windmill Island Gardens is authentic from the Netherlands. It was built in the 1700s, and it still works away, grinding grain to this day. The town purchased it in the Netherlands and then took it apart piece by piece, shipping it back and rebuilding it in the town of Holland, Michigan in 1964.
I couldn't believe they moved that whole thing from the Netherlands.
And if you want to get a real taste of Holland, you can even buy flour made from the grains ground by the windmill. Just to be clear, I would not recommend eating the flour by itself. And also the Tulip Immersion Garden, where over 50,000 flowers were planted in raised beds for a nice up-close and personal experience that you just can't get when they're, all the way down on the ground. Unless you're like me and you just lay down like a gremlin. But you have to be wondering, where the heck are all these tulips coming from? The Immersion Garden is designed by a Dutch horticulturalist. The Immersion Gardens were designed by a Dutch horticulturalist. That is a really hard word to say. Horticulturalists. The Immersion Gardens are designed by a Dutch horticulturalist, and as you go along through them, you're actually seeing the story of the tulip and the journey that it has taken from Turkey to the Netherlands and then Michigan. But wait, there's more! Throughout the blocks of the town, there are over 6 miles of streets that are known as the Tulip Lanes, which feature beds of flowers on either side. It's truly astounding to stand on the corner and just see these flowers in every single direction. They have these community planting days in the fall, and businesses chip in, local residents come out, and everyone just plants bulbs everywhere. Holland Christian High School has for the last 4 years brought their students out to get their hands dirty planting bulbs. And these people know what they're doing. Last October, they had 40 kids show up on the planting day, and in 3 hours, they planted 60,000 bulbs along West Washington Boulevard and West 12th Street. The festival has really evolved to celebrate all of Holland's Dutch heritage. You see the history everywhere, especially in the traditional outfits that they wear and those giant wooden clogs.
We love those golden clogs so much.
And still to this day, every single outfit that you see in the festival was made by hand to keep with tradition. But speaking of the klomping, there are Dutch dancers performing traditional folk dances all throughout the festival. They do pop-up performances in tons of different spots, including a parade which is daily during the festival, where the street fills with dancers as far as you can see. The main parade during the festival stretches over 2 miles, with floats and marching bands and just wave after wave of clomping dancers. Residents in their full traditional outfits actually scrub the streets before these parades. It's like a very enthusiastic team effort spring cleaning event. There's also a freaking carnival. We're talking elephant ears. We're talking thrill rides. We're talking fat balls. They also have a lot of fun cheeses and chocolates and things with names that sound a little bit silly, like hazelnut. You can even walk right up inside of the wooden shoe factory, where to this day, every clog is made by hand. You can try them on, or even buy some authentic wooden clogs for yourself.
No.
They've got a big window where you can watch these people shaping and carving these clogs before your eyes. It's like standing by the conveyor belt at Krispy Kreme watching the magic happen. I will say, though, the clogs do not taste as good when they come out. And I think this is a good time to remind you that you should never judge someone until you've walked a mile in their clogs. Can you imagine walking a mile in those things? I hope you don't like your foot skin. We did look into it a bit while we were there, and I think a lot of people wrap their feet before it or wear like 5 pairs of socks.
They're like walking on memory foam if you have really sad, dark memories.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's dark.
That is epic. So do what you will with that.
And if you decide that you love tulips just so freaking much you want to take some home, there are lots of places you can buy bulbs, including as you walk through Veldheer Gardens, you can pick from the 850 options. Just make sure to keep track of, which one. Like, hey, Rhonda, was that 829 that you wanted? Imagine going to a restaurant that had 850 options to choose from. I guess that's just Cheesecake Factory. Then, for those willing to hold out after the Tulip Festival ends, so all the way on May 31st this year, they host the Tulip Dig, where for $10 you get a 5-gallon bucket, and you can literally go dig up flowers from a few different designated areas, and whatever you fit in that bucket, you take home with you. But how do you even plan something like this? Even for these professional planners, there's only so much they can do in terms of when peak bloom will hit. So year-round, you can watch the Tulip Tracker online in Holland, Michigan to see what the bloom status is. There's even a 24/7 webcam at Veldheer Gardens so you can see for yourself. It is not very exciting at night. Apparently, last year in 2024, less than ideal weather conditions led to an early bloom, so by the second half of the festival, a lot of the tulips were kind of already sagging and shriveling up or fully dead. But for 2025, officials said that those blooms hit with perfect timing. So what does it cost to attend something like this? A lot of what I've mentioned is completely free. You can walk around and see the tulips pretty much anywhere in the park and the city, as well as catch lots of pop-up performances. The special exhibits, they do have ticket prices. I think they were all around $15 to $20. For example, Veldheer Gardens, it did cost $17 each to get in, and I believe $15 per person to get to the Windmill Island Gardens. Weirdly, the carnival was gated off with a sign that said there was a $10 minimum purchase for each person to get in. And this was especially weird because you could use it for I think they were called mega bucks, the money you could use for games or food inside of the carnival. And they only had one tiny little printout of how many tickets each ride cost. We kind of had to blindly decide to spend this money without knowing what we were going to be able to do once we got inside. The other strange thing was that there were only a few carnival vendors inside of the actual gates, so about 3/4 of the food options were located back outside of the carnival grounds. So are you able to leave if you want to get something and then get back in without another $10 minimum purchase? Because they didn't do wristbands or anything. So that part was just very strange. And I will say that we were there on a weekday, but the carnival itself had the lowest attendance out of anything else we did as part of the festival. The Tulip Time Festival is the oldest tulip festival in the U.S. It was named the Best Flower Festival by USA Today, and the World Tulip Summit called it the Tulip Festival of the Year. Let me tell you, I think those people know what they're talking about. The Tulip Time Festival is Holland, Michigan, and Holland, Michigan is the Tulip Time Festival. The never-ending flowers are incredible to see, but even more so was the pride in their traditions and how big of a community effort that this was. It's a beautiful reminder that sometimes it is worth digging just a little bit deeper to explore history and human connection. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Please throw a comment down below or give it a like. Watch another one of my videos. That's how YouTube knows what to recommend to other people. And of course, I hope you have a great day. Because I'm a horror writer, by the end of this festival, I also had written a horror movie in my head. I think I'd call it Clogged. Because of course people could get just with the clogs, and the tagline could be, "It's tulip time to die." But yeah, that shit's probably trademarked. Anyway, bye.